Donald Ramphadi is expected to touch down, of course, at the OR Tambo International Airport tonight. The South African wheelchair tennis star returns to the country for the first time after a successful French Open. Ramphadi and his doubles partner Andy Lapthorne defeated Heath Davidson and Robert Shaw to claim the quad wheelchair title. eNCA's Hloni Mtimkulu joins us live from the OR Tambo Airport. Good evening once more, Hloni. Lovely to be talking to you. I'm sure you're going to give us good news that our champion has arrived on home soil.
I'm afraid not, Arthur. So we're still waiting another about 30 minutes for that flight from Amsterdam to land. It has been delayed by about, I think it's about 55 minutes from when it was meant to land earlier. And it is a delayed flight because he was meant to actually arrive this morning coming from Paris. But other issues came in the way and he had to then take this later flight. But someone who knows Donald very well is his coach, and I'm going to bring him in now just to talk about the season that he's had so far. Coach Sia, first of all, I think, you know, we've spoken to you previously about Donald and just the kind of rise of Donald the past, especially a year and a half. Just for him to win a Grand Slam title, what was your initial reaction last week when it happened?
Thanks, Hloni, and the viewers. I think, look, I'm still trying to digest that, and I think that's between me and Donald. On the day when he won it, we're both in Paris, we sort of, I think, celebrated a bit when we took a shuttle from the tennis courts going back to the hotel. We were pumping some music in the car, and you know, it's still sinking in, but it means quite a lot because, I mean, in a short space of time we've come a very, very long way. I think obviously the strives and obviously the tribulations that we've been through and that we're still experiencing, and you know, to top it up with like this win from a Grand Slam at the second attempt, really being in the finals, is quite a big achievement for the young man. And I think obviously we're going to Wimbledon next month, and the momentum should carry on going there, you know.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you next, that, you know, he's built up quite a bit of momentum from last year Australia, just coming up to where we are now. How does this change the rest of his season?
Look, it has already from Australia, due to the results that he achieved, the semi-finals in singles and obviously finals in doubles, especially the singles. You know, he's moved up the rankings, so he's playing less tournaments this year, and obviously he's going to be hectic again next year, leading to the Paralympics 2024 in Paris. But I think he's getting more rest now because he's amassing a whole lot of points that actually gives him some rest and that keeps him abreast of his peers. But it's quite important that obviously the momentum is carried on, and you know, there's quite a lot of expectation once he's won a Grand Slam. Now obviously 2 has to follow, 3 has to follow, but now keeping him grounded and obviously him staying focused is another big thing that obviously we need to do.
I know he really wanted to play in Tokyo, the 2020 Paralympic Games. Now that you have all of this happening, how much stronger is the desire to get to Paris?
Look, last time for Tokyo 2020, which was played in 2021, he just missed it by a spot, you know. So now he's actually in a pole position. He's moved up to number 4 in the world, and he's now become actually a medal hopeful, you know. And I think SASCOC OPEX has recognized that. So he is more than willing to go there, represent the country, which is one of his biggest, obviously, stuff that he likes doing, and actually win a medal of any color. But obviously, you know, he whispered in my ear that actually gold or silver will do, you know. But yeah, but desire has become even stronger than before, and I think it's going to be his first time out there, and he's not only going to have fun but also to try and push to become the first person or first wheelchair tennis player to win a medal there.
And then just lastly, I want to end with, you talked about the challenges that he's faced, and that's something that's come up in terms of wheelchair tennis as a whole, just the funding, the extra resources that are needed to carry your wheelchair, to have a wheelchair, all of those things. Just talk to us a little bit about just what he's had to face and how important that wild card, especially last year, was to kind of get him to where he is now. Yeah,
look, I mean, you know, the wild card in 2021 at the Australian Open, or 2022 rather, because he got it 2021, beginning of 2022, he got he went there. It was quite a good step because that wildcard set him up for where he is now. You know, when obviously we had to recognize the fact that we're not going to get any sponsorship anytime soon. We needed to build a brand, get him obviously to get the results on board. And he's been funding himself ever since then, you know, spending almost 900,000. I think the recent trip now for both of us going to Paris, he had to fork out almost 90,000, which was the last of the Australian Open money that obviously he got. So I think, you know, it's the determination, the passion, and obviously those things, and having to win a Grand Slam with almost a worn-out wheelchair. I mean, that wheelchair, if you look at it, we had to adjust it and make sure that it doesn't break. We, like last year at Wimbledon in the semis when he was actually heading for the finals and the wheelchair broke, he had to call it off, you know. So those are the things, and a wheelchair sets us anything between 250k for a new one to 300,000. So once he gets, you know, those things in place, a good sponsorship or good backing, funding backing behind him, I think this guy is going to make wonders. And he's doing wonders already with his own determination, his own money. And I think when he gets that big funding or big sponsorship, he's going to be, you know, out of this world.
Okay, so you guys are kind of promising us something at Paris next year when the Paralympics come around. Hopefully that will happen. Otherwise, other big things maybe this year in terms of making appearances at other Grand Slam finals. Arthur, that was Siyanka Chela, who is the coach of Donald Ramphadi, who we are waiting for. Another, I would say, 20 minutes before he gets off the plane, of course, he has to clear customs as well. So we're here for a bit of a long night, but I think it is worth it given that we have South Africa's first Grand French Open title post-isolation, Arthur.
Of course, Hloni, I mean, a champion's entrance. We'll wait, even if it means that we wait after midnight, it'll definitely be something worth talking about. Hloni Mtimkulu out at the OR Tambo International Airport.